Today, I'll be discussing The Vow Page, a drama film from the United States based on a true story, including the newlyweds, Leo. On their way home from seeing a movie together, they reach a stoplight and decide to head home. In the moments after their automobile was rear-ended by a lorry, Paige unbuckled her seatbelt and leant over to kiss Leo. They are consequently taken to the hospital's emergency room. After that, we flash back for years to the first time Leo and Paige met by chance. She was walking in front of him and he noticed her because she caught his eye. He gives chase to her in the parking lot and approaches her with assurance. Leo quickly introduces himself to Paige and then extends an invitation to supper at Café Mnemonic. Leo, an art student who has been on his own since the death of his parents, and Paige, a young woman whose own family is experiencing difficulties, both lead separate lifestyles. Leo makes a proposal to Paige one day, and the two of them eventually tie the knot. They have their wedding ceremony in the Chicago Art Institute behind closed doors. Paige reads her wedding vows from the Café Mnemonic menu card she had previously written them on. But the guards catch up with them all and chase them out of the museum. Back in the current day, months after the initial accident, Paige emerges from her medically induced coma. Upon coming to, she discovers that she has amnesia and has taken Leo for her doctor. I can't remember anything from the last few years. As a result, Leo is heartbroken because his wife has forgotten him and their history together. When he goes back to the clinic, Leo is taken aback the next day when he finds the house empty without his wife. The nurse then informs him that Paige has been secretly moved to the VIP room. If he enters Paige's bedroom, her affluent parents are already there when he arrives. The meeting turns out to be Leo's first encounter with them. They also don't like Leo because he ran off with their daughter without telling them he was married to Paige. Even more perplexing to Paige is his failure to introduce himself to her parents after they were married. She thinks it even more peculiar that he is similarly baffled as to why. Leo deduces from Paige's behavior that she can only recall the happy times she had with her family because of how similar her personality is to that of her parents. The following day, the doctor releases Paige to return home. At first, Paige will be returning home with her parents. But Leo insists that it's best for Paige to return home with him so that she can start regaining her memory as soon as possible. The two of them are eating in the hospital cafeteria that evening. There, Paige expresses her inability to accept the fact that he is now her husband. Jeremy is the only man she can recall being engaged to. Leo must feel terrible hearing this, but he is determined to win back his wife's affections at whatever cost. The next morning, as Paige and her parents are about to leave, Leo unexpectedly appears and presents the evidence of his marriage. Then he plays a voicemail in which she seems ecstatic about their impending romance. Because of this, Paige agrees to accompany Leo back to their hometown in the hopes of regaining her memory. Paige's pals throw a surprise party for her when she returns home. However, she is overwhelmed and perplexed because she cannot recall any of them. Leo has no choice but to advise her companions to immediately return home. The next day, on his way to work, Leo gives Paige his cell phone in case she has any urgent business. Emergency. Once he's gone. When Paige starts to get bored, she decides to visit her favorite cafe. But she can't recall ever having been there, so she gets lost on the way back. Leo, on the other hand, is taken aback by the fact that Paige isn't there to greet him upon his return. He starts looking for her right away, but can't seem to track her down. Paige returns home unexpectedly after a time, telling Leo that she got lost and forgot to carry her phone. Because neither she nor she can remember Leo's number, she is forced to borrow a phone and call her mother. Her parents had extended an invitation to Leo and Paige to join them for dinner that night. At the meal and the bar that follows, Leo has his first real interaction with Paige's younger sister Gwen and quickly realizes that he is out of place among her friends and family. Along with that, Jeremy unexpectedly shows up at the pub and tells Paige that he feels bad for her because of her marriage to Leo. Leo, meantime, keeps trying to get her to remember things. However, it appears that Paige is more motivated to discover the reason she ended her engagement to Jeremy. Jeremy is still taken aback by Paige's question because he has only recently learned of her forgetfulness. He then uses this opening to reveal that Paige broke up with him the day before their planned wedding. This prompts her to make amends with Jeremy by kissing him. One evening, Leo finds Paige arranging her cherished photo collection neatly on the table. She claims she makes an effort to recall the pictures, but fails every time. Leo then resorts to her old trick of tickling her to cheer her up. Paige, however, seemed to no longer appreciate his advances. In addition, Paige gets frustrated when Leo plays music too loudly in the background when she's trying to get work done. And yet, she fondly remembers the time she spent with her sibling. Gwen's wedding is almost approaching. Paige has decided to spend the time leading up to the wedding with her parents. That's why it would be devastating to Leo if she never visited again. Paige and her mother return to the hospital a few days later to see how she is doing. When she is done, her doctor will tell her to stop worrying about her past and start filling in the blanks in her memory. That way, she may pick and choose which memories to hold onto, whether they occurred before or after she met Leo at Gwen's engagement. Since Paige no longer has any recollection of the days when they first met, Leo tells her that those were the finest periods of his life. Leo asks her out on dates to the parking lot where they first met, the restaurant they always go to, and the beach where they used to hang out. Leo tries to make things right with Paige, but their marriage is strained when Paige's dad asks him to get a divorce. In addition, Jeremy unexpectedly approaches and jokes to himself, making a fool of himself because no one at Gwen's party recognizes him. Furthermore, he incites him to violence by suggesting that he may have an opportunity to assault his wife. Leo reacts by punching him right away, further embarrassing Paige. After Leo finally catches up to her, he is understandably frustrated to hear Lee explain that she would not be staying with him. In the end, he lets go of the woman he cared deeply for. After that, Leo enjoys spending time in his music studio playing guitar. His friend eventually drops by to check in on him, and he breaks the news that he has decided against making any further attempts, no matter how great the cost, to resurrect Paige's memories. He fears that his wife's affection for him has diminished. So, he finally gives in and signs the divorce papers. A few days later, Paige runs into an old friend she hasn't seen in a while, but Diane doesn't know about her amnesiac pal. She expresses regret over past interactions with her father, prompting a startling recall of the reasons she had fled her family. When she tells her mom about it, her mother explains to her why she chose to forgive and forget her father's one bad deed rather than leave him for all the good he had done. And she certainly hopes not to have to say goodbye to her daughter a second time so soon. Paige also demands to know from Leo the reason for their silence. He explains that he didn't aim to steal her away from her family, but rather win her love. Later, when Jeremy invited Paige to go on a walk with him, he admitted that he had recently broken up with his girlfriend in the hopes of getting back together with her. She declines his offer, explaining that she wants to experience life without him. Paige eventually tells her dad that she plans to leave home and live alone in a city apartment. After Paige learned about her father's romance with Diane, he felt compelled to apologize to his daughter. But she reassured him that no matter what occurred in the past, she will always be his daughter. Due to the yearly cycle, they've got their own lives, Leo and Paige. When Paige discovers the menu card on which she had penned her wedding vows, she is overcome with emotion. The film concludes on a positive note as Paige accidentally reveals Leo's frequent cafe mnemonic to him. Then, after interrogating her buddy about their connection, she follows him to their second-choice Cuban eatery. Join the channel to see more videos like this one. Help the channel out by turning on notifications and leaving it like that. You're welcome for viewing.